Everybody's nervous. Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Facebook. We are officially live, guys. We are on Facebook. Want to first of all thank everybody for joining House in the Car on this wonderful day, and we'll find out later why the day is so wonderful. welcome, welcome to House in the Car. Today is a very, very exciting day. We are talking about the life of a wholesaler, and we're extremely excited to have Ramon Tukes back, sharing that knowledge. You know, once we get him going, there is no turning back. So today in Super Series Tuesday, Series 2, we are going to be working through the life of a wholesaler. My name is Letitia Grant. I am the chair of House Then the Car, and I am joined with
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephanie Milburn. I am the campaign manager for House in the Car.
And House in the Car is one of NAREB 8. It is a campaign under the NAREB 8, NAREB's 8, under the 2 Million and 5 initiative. And of those 8, House in the Car is the campaign that has a strategic focus for millennial home ownership within the African American market. And today we are joined by none other than Mr. Ramon Tukes. Stephanie, take it away.
All right. So, guys, we had him on our show a couple weeks ago, and we did this extensive introduction of him because he is just that great. So, we're going to go ahead and play that back again. I'm going to read this bio. Let me get that, guys. All right. Ramon, a native Atlantan, has been surrounded by entrepreneurs for his entire life, watching his grandfather, father, and uncles manage lucrative businesses. Tukes inked his first real estate deal as a freshman at Georgia State University, where he earned his BS in criminal justice and financed his entire college career, which includes a Juris Doctorate from Emory Law School with the proceeds from his real estate investments. Ramon is a seasoned real estate investor with over 24 years of experience. He has mastered flipping houses, wholesaling, buy and holds, residential, commercial, developing, project managing, and new construction. Whew, that was a lot. He has been involved in over 1,000 projects over his robust career. To satisfy his appetite and passion for teaching and philanthropy, he introduced his weekend signature event, Flipology 101, the boot camp as a medium by empowering others to utilize real estate as a viable wealth building vehicle. Flipology is defined just as it sounds, the science of flipping houses. During this intense learning experience, he introduces his proven strategies and tactics along with his entire team, comprised of a closing attorney, credit specialist, realtor partner, lender partners, and more to his students. Due to the success and interest in Flipology 101, other courses have been offered as well that focus on wholesaling, commercial wholesaling, buy and holds, and passive income. Ramon is also the author of Flipology 101, the book, which is the real-life instructional and semi-autobiographical journal of his experience using the Flipology 101 formula. And from 2017 to 2019, Tukes and his team hosted a weekly real estate investing focused radio show called Flipology Radio. All right, so you can follow Ramon on Facebook and Instagram at Ramon Tukes. That is RamonTooks. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Letitia.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so everyone now, they can hear why we're so excited today to have him on here, because he's just filled with knowledge. You know, the wholesaling world is a part of investing, and it's one of those industries that if you don't understand, you become, we talked about it last week, one of those callers that's calling saying, are you interested in purchasing, or I'm interested in purchasing your home, with no research. I got a call from someone this week, and they called me, and of course I'm a real estate broker, so I asked them, I said, how did you get my contact information? They said, oh, well, we have a system, and they went over their system, and I said, well, do you do any research before you call the person? And they said, no, you just appeared. Well, you know, I wonder, and I always wonder, how do they get my information, and why do they not know that I'm a real estate broker? But I'm glad to have Ramon on today so that we can get into the mind and walk through a day in the life of a wholesaler.
I love it.
But before we go too far, Ramon, can you share with our audience and tell them what exactly is a wholesaler?
First of all, thank you guys for having me on. I love it. I love the energy. I'm excited about being here today. But a wholesaler is exactly what it, we tend to attempt to overcomplicate it, right? It's finding something at a good enough deal so that you go out and find a buyer for it, that buyer can achieve, and I'm gonna keep it broad right now, can
Mhm.
achieve their end game, right? And their end game could be buying, holding, or it could be fixing and flipping, or it can be new construction. And so if you are a wholesaler, your job is to go find a deal that's good enough for them to meet their goals, right? And so a lot of people look at wholesaling like, I'm just going to get this huge fee, but you should be, as a great wholesaler, wanting your buyer to be very successful. We've seen a lot of that not happen because the market was so hot, but that's what a wholesaler is. You're looking for, and it's not finding the lowest deal, it's finding the deal that your end buyer will be successful reaching their goal. Because some deals are not cheap that we sell. Some deals are not at the formula that we use, 65 cents on the dollar. And we'll talk about some more deals as we go through today.
So now this makes me feel like we should have had Ramon on first, which we did when we introduced investing, but then we probably should have followed up with wholesaling. So you're saying that the wholesaler's job is ultimately just to find the best deal that's going to make their buyer successful, which is
Correct.
really, it's kind of, and sometimes the sales are distressed. Is that correct, Ramon?
They can be distress sales. You know, if you think about it, and sometimes I break it down like a candy store, right? When you were a kid and people sold candy, the wholesaler is the one that sold it to them cheap, and so that they can go out and go to school and sell it and make some money. So the person that's buying it from the wholesaler is the one that's taking all the risk, and they should get the bulk of the rewards. There's a lot of people now, and I'm gonna give you the good and the bad about the wholesaling world, but a lot of people don't care if they're successful. A lot of people don't care if they get out of it. They just kind of one hit wonders. We've been very successful. One, because I want you to come back to me. I want you to bring your friends to me. I don't want anybody to go anywhere else. So if that means I got to make $300 on this deal and 3,000 on the next deal, I'll do what it takes to make the deal work.
Gotcha. Now, and I don't want anyone to confuse the wholesaler with their realtist. Again, and I tell each time we have this segment, so hopefully by now everyone understands the difference between a realtor and a realtist. A realtist, those names are associated with the trade organization that the individual is associated with. We're all considered real estate professionals, but a realtor is associated with the National Association of Realtors Trade Association. A realtist is a member of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. So on this call, we will always refer to ourselves because Stephanie and I are both members of both. But when representing the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, we are definitely realtists. So I want to make sure that everybody understood the difference. But I want to also make sure that everyone understands the difference between the day-to-day function of a realtist and a wholesaler, because a wholesaler is not selling real estate specifically. Am I correct with that, Ramon?
So let me say this, right? I'm going to give you two ways that you wholesale, that you close a deal when you're a wholesaler. So sometimes we do. Sometimes we do own real estate. And that's where, again, a lot of people get into the business. They don't understand that sometimes we have to buy it and then sell it. Sometimes we get a fee in the middle. Um, when you're closing a wholesale deal, you get paid one of two ways. Either you're going to get an assignment fee or you're going to double close it, right? If you get an assignment fee, your buyer and seller are all on one settlement statement, and there's a fee on that. And it's legal. I know I get this a lot. It's not legal. In some states, we got issues with it. In Chicago, you're not able to wholesale. That's a whole nother story. There's an assignment fee on your settlement statement. With some deals, you double close, which means I buy it in one room and I sell it in another room. Or I buy it today and I sell it tomorrow. So I actually take title to it. It may be for a few seconds, it may be for a day or so, it may be for a month. So you got to be prepared in order to step up as a true wholesaler. You got to know the
Yeah.
difference in those. You got to know both. Because it's not just
Yeah.
assignment fees. I'll give you a story. We got one right now in Cleveland, and I got it under contract for 10. The seller doesn't want anybody else to make money. So instead of me put my assignment fee on there. We're buying it for 10 and we're selling it tomorrow for 13. I had to buy it though. We had to buy it. So though it just, again, it's, you got to know both ways, and you got to understand why you use both practices, because sometimes you don't want the buyer or the seller to know each other. Sometimes you don't want them to know how much you're making. It could complicate some things because people do count your money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So after my son's senior year in high school, he came to me and he said that he's decided that he wanted to go into wholesaling. And
Okay.
for me to, and that, but now he does work here, but you know, he's in the real estate business now. But when he said that, I said to him, I was like, well, do you have money? Because I felt like in the event the buyer doesn't buy it, to maintain your integrity, somebody has to buy it. So that's exactly what I was thinking, that you're going to need to have some kind of money, some type of assets to be, or liquid assets to be able to buy it.
So here's the thing, you know, you should have, and hopefully y'all, it's raining outside, I'm sorry, but hopefully you will have some outs in your contract. If it's that good of a deal, it's easy to sell.
Gotcha.
If you're on the border, that's when wholesalers start getting in trouble. If they're being greedy, that's when they start getting in trouble. So if you use the formula that we teach on wholesaling, then normally you can get it sold. You don't need money to wholesale. Here's where you need money. If you're building a wholesale system, you need money. If you're just wholesaling, you don't need money.
Gotcha.
You don't need money. It doesn't matter about your education level. It doesn't matter about your credit. It doesn't matter about any of that stuff.
And you know,
well, I just wanted to ask, okay, so so the reason why you don't need money is because really you're just being a connector at that point. So you're connecting somebody else that has the money to purchase. Is that why you don't need any money?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And that was the next thing that I was going to touch on, the education. Like, what type of education is required for one to hold the title as a wholesaler, and what sets the individuals that are more successful? And then you said a good wholesaler, if you want to be a good one, what sets them apart from the ones that we all just kind of run from because we're sick and tired of them blowing up our phones?
So you don't need any education you don't need it. Now I'm going to say that, right, to be a wholesaler, but I would recommend you understand every piece of the wholesaling business. You have to understand the psychology of real estate. You got to understand the psychology of selling. There's a lot that goes into being a great wholesaler. So what I would say is the first thing is you got to have the right mindset, right? To take away that greed, to take away the hustle, because some people treat it as like a hustle, and you should treat it as a business. And when I say hustle, some people want to go to sellers and lie to sellers why they should sell. One of the issues you talk about, like with gentrification, we do as much as we can to get people as much as we can, but we also have to educate the seller on what it takes for us to get that number to make the deal work. So you got to be knowledgeable on all. A great wholesaler is going to be knowledgeable on all fronts. That's, understanding like how to analyze a deal, understanding construction, understanding marketing, understanding the whole nine.
Gotcha. So basically just having a level of understanding is what's going to set them apart from everyone else, because of course we don't want to be in this business and be mediocre. We want to be exceptional. So in effort to do that, having that level of understanding is extremely important. Now tell us this, Ramon, and let's just talk about in the day-to-day life of a wholesaler. A wholesaler gets up in the morning and does what exactly? Besides say, let me send Letitia a lot of 1/4 of list price offers and get on her nerves.
Don't say that. That's how it works.
Tell us.
That's how it works. So here's the thing. Let's talk about building a wholesale business, right? As opposed to a hustle. Building a wholesale business means you got to do what you just said. You need to have a system where you get leads. You need to have a system where somebody's calling the leads, where somebody's texting the leads, where somebody's sending the letters, without you doing it, right? When you first start, you may not be able to afford to do that, right? You need to have a system where somebody's skip tracing, finding the owners, and then you got to know what you're going to offer them, and you got to be able to do it quickly. So day to day, you wake up, there should be somebody on the telephone at all times, whether it be you, a virtual assistant, somebody that you've hired. Somebody should be calling. This is what separates people. The telephones separate the good wholesalers from the great wholesalers. I'm not great on the telephone, but I will hire somebody to be on the telephone. I know, because I'm so direct. I'm calling you like, hey, do you want to sell your house? I don't really build relationships. Like, I just want to jump right in. Hey, I want to buy your house.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about being a great wholesaler, you got to do hundreds of phone calls a day. Hundreds.
Wow. Do you have an automated dialer?
Yes. So there's a few automated dialers out there that will help you get there. So all you got to do is pick up the phone, but you got to still know what you're doing. You still got to be in some kind of system where when you pick up the phone, what's next? You know, you go through your scripts, and then you got to be able to analyze those deals on the phone. Again, that separates us, because if I'm calling you, when you answer the phone, I'm going to go through the script. And by the time we get to the end of the script, I'm going to either be making an appointment with you to come see your house or making you an offer over the telephone.
Now, I do have, and I'm glad that you said I'm coming to your house. So oftentimes, yes, we do get those phone calls from our listings or the emails saying we want to make this offer for this price. And then, of course, they've not seen the property. What happens, and I'm only, of course, my limited experience with wholesalers, what is it that they're going by or that you need to go by when you're looking to finalize the offer?
So what we'll do is, and this is a wholesale formula, where you want to be all in at 65 to 70 cents of the ARV or the. Okay, when I say 65 to 70% of the appraised value, my purchase and rehab have to total that amount. So when I'm talking to you on the telephone, right, I'm going to ask you about the condition of your house. We should have enough information to make that offer over the telephone, but if we don't, by the time I come out and walk property, I'm going to be, again, I'm going to be looking at the condition of it. I'm going to be looking at the comps in the neighborhood. I'm not going to stretch it. I'm not going to say, in 6 months it's going to be worth this. I'm going to use data that is within a half a mile. It depends. We do a lot in town, so within a quarter of a mile, same neighborhood, same property, that's within 6 months. So I got to know what the value is. I got to know what is it going to take to get my property looking like those that sold. And then from there, I'm going to offer you 65 to 70% and subtract the repairs. And that's my highest offer. I'm going to start below that. So if your property is $200,000 after it's renovated and it needs $50,000 in work, I'm going to do 65%. That's 130 minus the 50,000. My highest offer is going to be 80. I may start at 70.
Gotcha.
Because if you do anything more than that, if you do, let's say 75%, right? You got 25% to play with. 6% is gone. That's commission. So you're down to 19%. Another 3% is gone because you're probably going to pay closing costs. So now we're down to 16%, right? If you have any kind of financing, especially hard money, you're going to spend 12 to 13% a year. So now you possibly make 3%. That doesn't work. And it shouldn't work for anybody, because any errors is going to wipe you away.
That's right. I hope our Facebook audience has their pen and paper out, because thus far you've given quite a bit of information. Even just knowing that specific formula, that 65 to 75% is really a big deal. But Ramon, you said that you're making hundreds of phone calls a day. How many appointments can one man handle?
So again, what you learn is, when you're starting, if it's just you do it based on your schedule. It's not just me, though, because we have teams all around the country. We got a team in Cleveland. We got teams in Alabama, Georgia, Detroit. So we got teams, and if we don't have teams, we partner. So like right now, if I got a call with a deal that's in Houston, guess what? I can say, hey, Patricia, Stephanie, can one of y'all go look at this deal? And then we'll split the money up. Like, it's so easy when you're talking about not being greedy and understanding the way a real wholesaler works. Because I would rather do 100 deals with you this year and make $1,000 than not do deals with you and make 5 or 10 on a couple of deals.
Yeah. You know, and Stephanie, we can have this discussion because thus far, at least during series 2, every episode this year or this series, we've talked about partnership and how important partnership is to your success. So I don't know if our audience doesn't take anything away from series 2, because this is indeed the final episode of series 2. We'll do our recap next. But if they don't take anything away from series 2 outside of investing, they definitely need to take away the importance of partnership and how their success is directly related to their partnership.
It is. And you know, one of the things is finding the right partners. It takes time. You know, it's like anything else. It's, you know, you're blessed to meet somebody and it just happens, right? You know, I had been in business about 20 years before I met Jill. And I'll say this, I know she's on here. Jill was like heaven sent for our business. Because I had been going through like marketing people, just spending money like crazy. You know, you get people that like, I'm your marketing director. And it's like they're making more money than we're making and not caring if we run out of money. Jill came on the scene. It's like, I don't even think about marketing anymore. I don't, not on that side of the business. I don't think about it. It's not something that I want to think about. I just want to know the cost and let's go. And that's a great partnership that I have with Jill. The same thing with my relationships. And I keep saying Cleveland because Cleveland, my team in Cleveland is just as strong as my team in Atlanta. And that's saying a lot. They are like, I just got back Saturday night from Cleveland and it was just like I was at home. I mean, we got bird dogs, wholesalers, contractors. We got every single thing that you can imagine that you have. And it's an amazing, actually, it's probably the most amazing opportunity that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Ramon, you've mentioned making all of these calls. What type of leads do you guys go after when you're, when you're initially making the calls? Like I know Letitia mentioned distressed properties. So is that something that you guys look for? Is that the first thing you look for? Like maybe a property is in pre-foreclosure? What type of leads do you guys call on?
So each type of lead has its own special script and own special psychology, right? So you can look for pre-foreclosures, and you know there haven't been any of those in 4 months. There are none. So that's out. You can look for landlord tenant issues like evictions. You can look for code enforcement. You can look for a lot of times we'll pull like a certain zip code and then like out-of-state buyers or people that don't live there. So non-owner occupied. So it'll have a different mailing address than the property. Those are the ones that we go after a lot of times. You can narrow it down to high equity, low equity. Depends on what you're looking for. So there's so many different categories, Stephanie, that you have to understand that don't go after all of them because that's when you get in trouble. Like learn, if you're focusing on a certain zip code, focus on that zip code. If you're focusing on pre-foreclosures, then those that people that only knew pre-foreclosures have been in trouble for 4 months. Like they have been in trouble, right? Some people look at divorces only. Some people look at probates. Probates is its own monster. And if you work in probate, you got to know all the little nuances for probate. Like what happens if this person had probated, how long is it going to take us to get that deal? You may be chasing and working on that deal for over a year. Like one that we're closing today, my partner worked on it since 2019 March.
Oh, wow.
And we just get to the closing table right now.
Yeah.
And guess what? Even it had its own set of problems because as late as today, I'm sorry, it muted itself. But I was on the phone with the seller teaching them how to get an EIN number for their estate. And we had already closed it. So they weren't going to fund it until, but again, that's us understanding the business, having the right team members and the right attorneys on your team. Because you got to have now, that is, the attorney is like you're one of your best friends in this business on the wholesaling side, because they'll teach you how to do it the right way. If they know. A lot of attorneys don't know.
Man, so all those things that you're saying, I'm like directly relating them to real estate. You know, we talk about a niche. Find yourself a niche, and practice in that niche. It used to be, you know, you need to farm one particular area, but now I'm hearing you saying kind of the same thing with wholesaling. You need to find yourself a space and occupy that space and understand that space.
Yes. Yes.
Love it. Love it. Okay, Stephanie, we're ready for the audience questions.
Okay, so we have a question from Shonda Jewett. She says, what type of systems do you use, and what are some of the automated dialing systems you recommend?
So I'm gonna throw a plug out there. We just partner with a company that does everything for you. Like you can call today and say, and I'm gonna give you all the systems, but you can call today and say, hey, I'm just getting started, or I've been in it forever, and I want to buy leads. I want them skip traced. I want them called, and I want them text. This particular company is called a turnkey wholesale system. If you go on to turnkeywholesale.com, you could do everything for 77 cents a lead. And I'm gonna tell y'all why that's like amazing. Because everybody, it launched about 30 days ago. Everybody that joined in the past 30 days have not been able to handle the amount of phone calls that they got, right? We had one guy that bought like 500 leads. They were done with 500 leads in 2 days. If you were calling those yourself, unless you're like really strong, it's gonna take you a long time. They were done with it. All his leads were worked. And so that's one system. And I'll give you a breakdown. There's dollars. One is called Mojo that you can get on. And Mojo has a single line dialer that can do 50 to 60 leads per hour. It has a triple line dialer that can do about 150 leads an hour or so, right? There's skip tracing software. It's so much of it where you got to go and find the owner. It's been verified. REI skip. There's a ton of, if you just put skip tracing, it'll pop up. There's text magic, so you can text folks. You just got to be able to put it all together, right? Some people overcomplicate. Like I can give you a bunch of different systems, but what I can say is your first thing is to understand like the mindset of it, how much time you have to put in it, and how consistent you're going to be. Because if you're not going to be consistent, if you're not going to follow up, the wholesaling is not going to work for you. And wholesaling does not work for everybody. It's not for everybody. It's not. It's a lot of people that get into it, they quit too soon. They, because of how we portray it, and when I won't say we, but because of how everybody portrays it, it's like the easiest way to do the business. It's not. It's not the easiest way to make money. It's a way to make money, but it's not the easiest way because of all these systems that got to be put in place, the consistency, the competition right now that you're facing. We have never ever had this many people in our market looking for deals as wholesalers. They overpaying right now. So you got to understand how to combat that. So just 3 systems: Mojo Dollar, Text Magic, and then there's a ton of CRMs to keep up with it. But I will say, if you're just starting, get a notebook and put the date on the top of the paper, right? And every single day, you go back, you write your addresses down, find the owners, write the telephone numbers down, and check it off every single day. If you're good with Excel, good for it. But if I have no money, right, and I'm going to talk about it from I have no money and I'm just starting, I'm going to get a piece of paper, a notebook for $2 at the dollar store, and a pen, and I'm going to go to work. I'm going to drive neighborhoods, right? One of the best ways to find deals is driving for dollars. I'm going to drive neighborhoods and look for properties that look like they need help. I'm going to talk to neighbors. I'm going to write down for sale by owner signs, and then I'm going to call those people. I'm going to call them. Hopefully I can ride during the day and call from 5 to 9, which is the best time to call.
Now, Ramon, I'm just going to tell you one thing. If you're if an individual pays $2 for a notebook at the dollar store, we have a problem.
No.
I'm just joking with you.
I know.
No, but I do have a serious question. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
I was gonna say Family Dollar don't have anything for $1. They just call Family Dollar.
Right.
You know, you right about that. But you know, now I hang out at the Dollar Tree. We call it free the Dollar Tree over here at our office. But I was gonna ask, what are some of the key components that would have an individual agree to sell their property to a wholesaler versus putting it on the open market?
So here's the competition. I'm sure y'all know. Have y'all heard of Mark Spain?
No.
Well, so he's a huge real estate agent that probably does. I've heard numbers like 150 deals a month, right? I've heard like crazy numbers. But he goes in and he offers, you get three choices. We can list it, we can buy it now, like right now, and there's some other like kind of hybrid. Most of the time when we get people that call us or when we call them or they call back from a card or some advertising, they're in a certain need. And we can fulfill that need normally faster than a realtor can. Normally. Or we have all the answers. Most realtors, and I'm doing that right. I know. I get my bonus.
You do. You got
Most realtors don't know this business. Unfortunately, they don't know the investment side of things. They're not solution driven. Most realtors, because we train a lot of them, have an issue with wholesalers and investors, and as opposed to us partnering together. Because I use realtors on everything that I sell. So I always have like an advantage because people know that I understand it. So realtors call me to send me to buy deals to fix up so that they can list them, right? Most sellers are in some kind of situation like divorce, pre-foreclosure. You know, with a foreclosure, they wait to the day before the foreclosure. It's nothing. Most realtors are not able to do anything with that. They don't have the training. Nobody trains them what to do the day before, unless they're gonna tell them to file bankruptcy.
Right.
Right. So it's really when you're solving a problem with somebody, most wholesalers or investors have that toolkit or that toolbox with the solutions in it that can make it happen fast because they're looking for speed at that point.
Right. So it sounds like we may need to continue this on a whole nother level and get us signed up for some real wholesaling classes so that we can either provide them with those options or be an option as well.
We're not teaching y'all that stuff. No.
Ramon,
Well, you said they didn't need any education, but it sounds like there's definitely some education that needs to be had.
Well, let me say this. Let me tell you. And I'm glad we have an audience here. But here's what you do when you're first starting. You ask everybody, do they have anything that they want to sell, or you talk to investors and see what they're looking for. And when I say you don't need a lot of education, you just be as like robotic as possible and you go find it. If I'm doing driving for dollars and I find a lead and I can call Stephanie or Letitia and say, hey, I got a house and the roof is falling in, or I got a lead. I talked to Miss Annie and her roof is falling in. I need y'all to close this, right? I get my money for that. It's as simple as that. You just know that you're looking for either a buyer or a seller, and we're going to match them up. It doesn't take a lot of education.
So Stephanie, we don't need education because we have Ramon's phone number.
Correct. And I will get on the airplane and come to Houston so fast.
Well, you don't have to worry about it. We will call. Okay. Well, guys, I don't know. Ramon, did you have anything else that you want to add outside of, because what you didn't mention is, and one of the reasons why I mentioned the education component is because you, Mr. Flipology, you do offer classes to teach individuals how to flip. And I don't know if you provide any wholesale information, but having that educational component to add is extremely important. So before we get off the line today, do you mind kind of telling us a little bit about Flipology and when your next class is?
Yes. So we have Flipology coming up. It's actually in 10 days. It's July 10th through 12th. We're going to be offering it in person in Atlanta and I guess you can say, online. Flipology is 2.5 days of teaching you guys how to find, fund, fix, and flip, how to analyze deals, how to find funding. There's an unlimited amount of funds out here, and people, that's like people's biggest fear. I don't have the money, right? There is no shortage of money. There is no, like, I mean, I don't know. Letitia, I've never seen where we are right now. I've been at it now 25 years. I tell people like a quarter of a century. I've never seen it where we got low inventory, low interest rates, and the opportunity where everybody's excited about being in real estate. Well, during Flipology, we teach you how to take advantage of that. We teach you how to put your team together, who should be on your team, and then we actually take them out on our bus and show them properties that we're working on so that they feel it, touch it, and they understand things like, why is it taking so long? What happened? Unforeseen repairs that we need to make. So it's a full experience, and that's next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, July 10th through 12th. It's that's my baby. Flipology is my baby.
Now it's next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you said that you're offering it online and in person. Stephanie, it sounds like we need to find our way somewhere.
I think y'all need to come to Atlanta. We got some nice malls here, a lot of good restaurants.
House in the car, on the move.
On the move. Let me say one more thing. When people see how exciting it is, I think a lot of people show checks and they talk about the wholesaling business. It may be easier and you got to take your pick, whether you want to buy and hold as a rental, whether you want to fix and flip or build new construction, or whether you want to wholesale. And you really got to get with some folks that are doing it and see what fits you better, right? I truly love buying. I love rental properties. It's almost hard to go wrong with a rental property if you get into it right? Fixing and flipping is a different animal. Fixing and flipping is truly a different animal. It's the one that we make look pretty on TV, but we forget to tell you that you're gonna have your hair coming out, like almost of them. Wholesaling can be easy, but if you're building a business out of it, it gets really competitive. It's really a very challenging business because it's repetition and it's volume. It's a numbers game. I spoke with a guy today that wants us to call. He has 10,000 leads that they purchased and have not worked. So we're going to feed them into our system and we're going to have it done for him probably in about a week and a half time. They will be called 3 times and text 1 time. And we will make his phone ring like nothing before. But he got the money to do it. He's been wholesaling, but he's going to another level. So when you're talking about getting into this business, you really need to understand all 3 of those and kind of what fits you. You got to know what fits you. And at some point, you may I do all of them. I wholesale, I fix and flip, I buy and hold. But my first choice would be buying and holding, right? My second choice is kind of a tie between wholesaling and fixing and flipping. Fixing and flipping may be a little bit easier for me than wholesaling, for me.
Right. Man, that was quite a bit of information. I know.
Ramon.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
Well, I was just going to say, the audience would like to know, how can they register for the online class?
So you can go to universityofwealthbuilding.com and you can register there. And if you send me a message saying that you were on, if you send me one on social media, I'm on social media, Ramon Tooks on Facebook and Facebook and Instagram. I'll take 10% off. Don't tell Jill. I know she's not on here, but we'll take 10% off.
Don't tell. Do
not tell. She's somewhere else.
Stephanie, did we have any more questions?
No, that was the last question.
Okay. Well, you heard it here, guys, and it seems like you've heard it every episode. Having relationships, the right relationships. Stephanie and I, we are partners in crime here on HTTC and in real life.
Yes.
And I hear Ramon over there. He and what is it, Batman and Batgirl, I'm assuming, he and Jill. You have to build those proper relationships in any industry in order to be successful. I know that that day of having it all, doing it all by yourself and keeping all of the money. That really just doesn't exist. You're going to have to, as they say, break bread. You're going to have to break it down and, partner with the right people, pay them what they're worth, pay their fare, and then be able to have success. You heard Ramon also say that he'd much rather have hundreds of deals working with partners than to do it all by himself. And I know that rings clear to our millennials. Our millennial group is doing such a phenomenal job at that. Our millennial group, and I'll say our exennial group as well, they're doing such a phenomenal job at that, and we want to see that continue. I see our Gen Xers out there working together as a team, pulling it together. We're going to just have to keep that up in order for us all to be successful. Stephanie?
I would just like to say that today is a very special day. It is Letitia's birthday, guys. So let's all say happy birthday, Letitia. She is our chair. She is, again, like she said, my partner in crime, not only in house in the car, but in life. So happy birthday, Letitia.
Thank you.
Which
Thank you.
which version do we sing?
I can't say this on live because, I like a certain genre of music and it won't be the version that most people understand. It has
Oh,
"yeah"
okay.
in it.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
We'll
We're
talk
just gonna
about
say,
that.
go, shawty. It's your
It's your birthday.
birthday.
You can do that one.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, guys, that actually concludes our episode of The Life of a Wholesaler. Again, we'd like to thank our special guest, Ramon. This is his third time on House in the Car. We want to definitely thank him for sharing his expertise in this area. I don't think anyone else could have broken down the way that he did and provided that information to us. It's extremely important that we hear all aspects and all different ways of investing. We found out during these episodes that it's so many different ways to do that. I encourage everyone to stay tuned for our recap where we will kind of go over all of the episodes that were advertised here in series 2, and then we'll announce series 3 because yes, by popular demand, we are back for another series, Stephanie.
Yay! Ramon, I would just like for you to give everybody the link one more time because we do have a lot of people interested in next weekend's class. So please give them that link one more time.
So they can register at universityofwealthbuilding.com. But like I said, if you send me a message directly on Facebook or Instagram, then I'll make sure that we send you a link where you can get 10% off. Just for my thanks for being on the call today.
Thank you, Ramon. We appreciate you for joining House in the Car for the third time, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day.
You do the same. In Facebook audience, be sure that you continue to follow us, like us on House in the Car on Facebook, Instagram. Check us out on Twitter, Snapchat, our YouTube channel, and stay tuned for the launch of Realtors Nation TV. Be sure that you check out our website, and that is housethenthecar.com. You guys have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.